carbon dioxide and release oxygen through photosynthesis. Vehicle engines burn fuel and give off exhaust gases. Even the stomach chemically breaks down food into the nutrients needed by the body. Moreover, a chemical reaction can be better understood by considering it is a process involving collision between reacting particles, resulting in the breakdown of some chemical bonds of the reactants and the creation of new bonds of the products. Chemical reaction. It is a process in which one or more substances, the reactants, are converted to one or more different substances, the products. Substances are either chemical elements or compounds. A chemical reaction rearranges the constituent atom of the reactant to create different substances as product. So it means chemical reaction involve breaking chemical bonds between reactant molecules and forming new bonds between atoms in product particles. The number of atoms before and after the chemical change is the same, but the number of molecules will change. We have four types of chemical reaction. The first one, synthesis reaction. It is the artificial execution of chemical reaction to obtain one or more several products. And the second one is the composition reaction, or process in which chemical species break up into simpler parts. The third type of chemical reaction is single replacement reaction, a reaction in which one element is substituted for another element in compound. And last, double replacement reaction, two ionic compounds that are exchanging anions and cations. Precipitation and neutralization reactions are two common types of double replacement reaction. So let's discuss about neutral atom. We have two types of neutral atom. The first one called cation. It is less of electron. Cations are ions that positively charge. The second one is called anion. It absorbs or gains electrons. Anions are ions that negatively charge. It also absorbs or gains one or more electrons. Therefore, anion have a more electrons than proton. Additional explanation from neutral atom. If a balanced atom loses one or more electrons, it will become a positively charged cation.
Rate of reaction, the speed by which reactants are converted to product referred to as the rate of reaction. The catalysis can increase the reaction rate of steam and can be participate in secondary reaction. The reaction rate is the speed at which reaction happen measured by the speed which as the product is formed. Example na lang po natin yung temperature. Ang temperature ng reactants ay ang average kinetic ng mga molecules ng reactants. Ganito po kasi, pag mas mainit, mas mabilis ang galaw ng molecules, mas energetic sila. Molecule substance, pag malikot ng molecules, mas matindi ang kanilang kinetic energy. Mas magiging mainit ang substance, kaya pag mas mataas ang temperature ng reactants, mas mabilis ang rate of reaction.
Collision theory of reaction rates. This theory states that for reaction to occur, molecules, atoms, or ions must first collide. Not all collisions are successful. In order for collision to be effective collision, particle must possess a minimum amount of energy needed for the reaction and must collide with proper orientation. The minimum energy required to initiate a reaction is called activation energy. Not all collisions are successful, even they have minimum energy or activation energy that requires to initiate a reaction. We can see here the successful and unsuccessful collision. When successful collision happen, there is product form and they collide with the correct orientation. Successful and unsuccessful collision are the same reactant particles approach to each other. But when unsuccessful collision happen, the reactant particle will be separated, so there is no product to form and they collide with the incorrect orientation.
Transition state theory, also called activated complex theory or theory of absolute reaction rates. In chemistry, transition state theory explains the reaction rate of chemical reaction. At ipinagpapalagay ng theory ang isang espesyal na uri ng chemical equilibrium sa pagitan ng mga reactants at activated transition state complexes. At ang transition state theory ay pangunahing ginagamit upang maunawaan ng maayos kung paano nagaganap ang chemical reaction. In chemical reaction, ang transition state ay ang punto kung saan mayroong pinakamataas na halaga ng energy at ang energy o enerhiya na ito ay tinatawag na activation energy or activation barrier. Kapag dalawa o higit pang mga molecules ay pinaghalo at sila ay magtatama. At kung sila ay magtama, ito ay may sapat na energy upang dumaan sa transition state. Sila ay tutugon at bubuo ng mga bagong molecule. At ayon sa theory, ang mga reactant ay dapat dumaan sa isang mataas na energy at ang activation energy ay ang kinetic energy na kailangan ng mga reactant upang maabot ang transition state. At dito na matutukoy ang pagkasira at pagbuo ng mga bonds kung ang isang reaction ay exothermic or endothermic. Ano nga ba ang exothermic and endothermic reaction? Exothermic reaction is hotter than surrounding. Siya ay nagre-release ng heat sa kanyang paligid. Endothermic reaction is cooler than surroundings. Siya naman ang nag-a-absorb sa kanyang paligid.
Ano nga ba ang exothermic reaction? Kapag sinabing exo, ibig sabihin external, giving out energy ng ibig sabihin panlabas na nagbibigay ng enerhiya. Kaya laging tandaan ang enerhiya na hinihigop ay mas mababa kaysa sa enerhiya na inalalabas, kaya ang init ng reaksyon ay negatibo. Ang exothermic reaction ay isang reaksyon kung saan ang enerhiya ay inilalabas sa mga anyo ng liwanag o init. Kaya sa isang exothermic na reaction, ang enerhiya ay inililipat sa kapaligiran. Tukuyin naman natin ang endothermic reaction. Kapag sinabing indo, ibig sabihin internal, taking energy. Sa Tagalog, panloob na pagkuha ng enerhiya. Laging tandaan ang enerhiya na hinihigop sa enerhiya na inilabas, kaya ang init ng reaksyon ay positibo. Ang mga endothermic na reaction ay mga reaksyong chemical kung saan ang mga reactant ay sumisipsip ng enerhiya ng init mula sa paligid upang bumuo ng mga produkto.
Endothermic reactions, energy is absorbed overall so the reactions feel cool to the touch. On the other hand, exothermic reactions have a net release of energy so the reactions feel warm to the touch. Energy is always part of a chemical reaction. The activation energy state for both endothermic and exothermic reactions is still the highest energy state in the whole reaction. The transition state is also created when the activation energy is reached. In the case of an endothermic reaction, the reactants are at a lower energy level compared to the products, as shown in the energy diagram below. In other words, the products are less stable than the reactants. Since we are forcing the reactions in the forward directions toward more unstable entities. Overall, the triangle of H for the reaction is positive, and the energy is absorbed from the surroundings. And in the case of an exothermic reaction, the reactants are at the higher energy level compared to the products, as shown in the energy diagram below. In other words, the products are more stable than the reactants. Overall, the triangle of H for the reaction is negative, and the energy is released in the form of the heat. On the other words, endothermic reactions, heat is absorbed by the system, and the temperature of the surrounding is decreased. And in exothermic reaction, heat is released by the system, and the temperature of the surrounding is increased.
Before we talk about the example of exothermic, let us know what is exothermic first. So exothermic is a reaction or process accompanied by the release of heat, a compound formed from its constituent elements with a net release of heat. One of the example of exothermic is the power production or yung produksyon ng kuryente. Nagre-react ang carbon sa oxygen sa proseso ng pagkasunog, and this reaction creates a lot of heat that is called exothermic. At ang pag-ikot ng init o singaw ng tubig na nagpapagana sa mga turbine ay nakakatulong sa produksyon ng kuryente. Before we talk about the example of endothermic, let us know what is endothermic first. So endothermic is a reaction or process accompanied by or requiring the absorption of heat. Isa sa halimbawa ng endothermic reaction ay ang pagbibake ng tinapay kung saan inaabsorb o hinihigop ng dough ang heat para maluto ito ng maayos. Kapag daw po mas maraming substance ang involved sa chemical reaction, mas marami din pong na-absorb o nare-release na heat.
Factors affecting reaction rates. We have different kinds of factors affecting reaction rate. The first one is surface area of a solid reactant. Surface area is the exposed matter of a solid substance. Imagine that you are holding a perfect cube of magnesium. The surface area is the sum of the area of full 6 sides of the cube. The surface area of the cube can be increased by dividing the cube into smaller cubes. And the surface area is maximized when a single large cube is crushed to fine powder.
And let's talk about factors affecting reactions rates. Do you know in a reaction between magnesium metal and hydrochloric acid, magnesium atoms must collide with the hydrogen ions? When the magnesium atoms form one big lump, however, the number of collisions per second between magnesium and hydrogen is higher and the rate of reaction is faster. At tandaan, nagaganap ang mga reaksyon kapag epektibong nagbabanggaan ang dalawang molekula ng reactant. Bawat isa ay may pinakamababang enerhiya at tamang oryentasyon. At alam niyo ba kapag may parehong bilang ng mga atomo, ngayon ay nahati ang maraming maliliit na piraso. Doon halos walang mga atomo ng mga magnesyo na hindi na-access sa mga hydrogen ions.
One of the factors that affect the reaction rate is the concentration or pressure of a reactant. Ang konsentrasyon po ng isang substance ay pwedeng ipakita o i-express sa napakadaming paraan na nakadepende sa nature ng substance. An aqueous solution has the concentration that is expressed in moles. So ano nga po ba ang aqueous? Ang aqueous po ay isang solution kung saan ang solvent o medium ay water at kadalasan po itong nakikita sa mga chemical equations na kasama o relevant sa chemical formula. At ang mole na o simbolong MOL ay ang unit ng dami ng substance sa International System of Units. Ang dami po ng substance ay isang sukatan kung gaano kadami ang elements entities ng isang particular na substance ang nasa isang bagay o sample. Ang halimbawa po ng concentration or pressure of a reactant ay ang solution na ginawa sa pagtunaw ng sodium hydroxide sa tubig na may konsentrasyon na ipinapakita as moles of sodium hydroxide. Sinabi din po dito that gases can also have their concentration expressed in moles. So in terms po ng collision theory, kapag po tinaas o tumaas ang concentration ng isang reactant, tumataas din po ang number ng collision between reactant species na dahilan ng pagtaas din ng reaction rate. Let's consider the reaction between hydrochloric acid and zinc metal. Anong reaction po ba ang dapat mangyari sa mas mabilis na rate? Sa mga tuntunin ng collision theory, collision po sa pagitan ng mga atom ng zinc at hydrochloric acid ay higit na madalas sa beaker na naglalaman ng 6 moles hydrochloric acid. Meron pong mas maraming acid sa bawat unit ng volume. 6 moles of hydrochloric acid means that every 1 liter of solution holds 6 moles of dissolved hydrochloric acid. The reaction of zinc in 6 moles of hydrochloric acid will have the faster rate because with the greater number of particles, there is a higher chance of collision occurring. Ang konsentrasyon ng gas ay konektado sa pressure nito. Ang pagtaas po ng pressure ng gas ay kasabay ng pagtaas ng konsentrasyon nito. So kung meron po tayong tiyak na bilang ng gas molecules, pwede po nating pataasin ang pressure nito sa pamamagitan ng pag-force sa kanila into smaller volume.
So, let's talk about factors affecting reaction rates. So, let's discuss temperature. Ang temperatura sa Kelvin degrees ay proportional sa kinetic energy ng mga particle sa isang substance. Halimbawa, ang Kelvin temperature ng isang substance ay nadoble kung gayon ang average na kinetic energy ng mga particle sa substance na iyon ay nadoble. Lahat ng chemical na reaction ay nagaganap sa mas mabilis na rate sa mas mataas na temperatura. Kapag mas madalas at mas mataas ng banggaan ang mga particle, ay maaari lamang mag-react kapag sila ay nagbanggaan. Kaya kung magpapainit ka ng isang kahoy, ang mga particle ay gumagalaw ng mabilis at nang sa gayon mas madalas na nagbabanggaan. Iyon ay magpapabilis sa rate ng reaction. Ang pagtaas ng temperatura ay magtataas ng average sa kinetic energy ng mga reactants molecule. Sa mga katuwid, ang mas malaking proportion ng mga molekula ay magkakaroon ng pinakamababang enerhiya na kinakailangan sa epektibong banggaan. And let's talk about presence of catalyst. A catalyst is a species that speeds up a chemical reaction without being chemically changed upon completion of the reaction. In other words, the mass of a catalyst is the same before and after a reaction occurs. Sa madaling salita, ang pagkakaroon ng isang katalista, ang catalyst ay isang substance na nagpapabilis sa isang reaction. Upang mapataas ang rate ng reaksyon nang hindi nauubos sa proseso ng karaniwang pinapabilis ng mga catalyst ang isang reaksyon sa pamamagitan ng pagbabawas ng activation energy o pagbabago ng mekanismo ng reaksyon. Ang mga enzyme ay ang mga protina na kumikilos bilang mga katalista sa mga reaksyong biochemical. At isa sa mga halimbawa ng catalyst ay ang MnO2 in the composition of H2O2, Fe in the manufacture of NH3, Pt in the conversion of NO and CO2 and 2NCO2. Alalahanin na ang mga banggaan ay nagresulta lamang sa mga reaksyon kung ang mga particle ay nagpapanggaan ng sapat na enerhiya upang simula ang mga reaksyon upang malampasan ang activation energy barrier. Nakikita sa larawan ang percentage of molecules ay 100 at sa baba naman ay zero kinetic energy. Ang mga molekula na may ganitong dami ng kinetic energy ay hindi pa rin magre-react. Mas mababang threshold na enerhiya, mas maraming molekula ang magbabanggaan ng gusto. Ito ay nagre-react kahit ang temperatura ay hindi nagbago.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.